Hey, so yesterday there was a report in the BBC about a cafe in Melbourne, Australia, that has introduced an 18% surcharge on coffees for male customers. This is a vegan cafe. It's only recently opened and it's attracted a lot of negativity, a lot of controversy because of this. Um, Now, their rationale for this blatantly discriminatory policy is to protest the gender wage gap. I'm going to read out a segment of a BBC report on this because it's very important and it's become a very topical issue. In my view, it's been hugely blown out of proportion and context. But anyway, this is a little BBC info piece. The pay gap is the percentage difference between average hourly earnings for men and women. Across the UK, men earn 18.1% more than women in April 2016, according to the Office for National Statistics, the ONS. This figure is calculated on a 1% sample of employees' jobs. It takes a median for men and women, which is the level of pay that half of people earn more and half earn less than. No, that's a 1% sample. It doesn't sound like a very great science to go on, but there you go. The pay gap isn't the same as equal pay. I'm going to repeat that because it's very important. The pay gap isn't the same as equal pay. Equal pay, that men and women doing the same job should be paid the same, has been a legal requirement in this country for 47 years. Now, I don't know what the situation in Australia is, but I would imagine it's similar. And incidentally, they're using an 18% surcharge. That seems to be the British statistics. So whether they're going on that or, I mean, this ONS figure presumably is for the UK. But regardless, I would imagine there's similar laws across liberal democracies regarding uh, pay parity, pay equity between men and women. And anyone watching this video, I invite you, honestly ask yourself every single job that you have ever done, whether you're male or female. If you're a male, can you honestly say that your female colleagues got less? And if you're female, can you honestly say that your male colleagues got more? Hand on heart, I can say that has not been the case with myself. I've been a charity fundraiser, I've been a waiter, I've been a clerk, I've done a variety of jobs. And everything I've done, I can honestly say it was a standard rate across the board. Because to say to female workers that they're getting less because they're female would have been illegal. And in my view, rightly so. I believe in pay equality. So this cafe is blatantly discriminating against male customers. They also apparently prioritize women seating, not pregnant women, which would be fine, women in general. This is very different from if you have a situation where, let's say, a boyfriend or a husband wants to be romantic, ladies first, that's different. That's just a personal thing. But for a business to do this is discriminatory, blatantly. There has been a big backlash. There is now a boycott this cafe group. It's called Handsome Her. It's a vegan cafe in Melbourne. And I looked at Google reviews. They're about 60% negative, and a lot of the negative comments, including my own, are precisely because of this sexist policy. Anyone who supports this, what I would simply say to them is consider if a business was to charge gay customers more than straight customers. Consider if a business was to charge ethnic minority customers more than white customers. Consider, this is probably an even better example, if you had a male run business, let's say you had a gym that happened to have a male manager, or a restaurant or a hotel with a male manager. Now, let's say they said, oh, we don't like the fact that more men kill themselves, the male suicide rate is higher, so to protest that, we're going to charge women more. It would be absurd because it would be taking out that statistic on innocent female patrons. This is exactly the same because what they're doing is they're taking um, a subject that is hugely blown out of proportion anyway, but they're taking that and in order to protest against it, clearly this is a feminist run business, um, they're deciding to just punish all male clientele. Now, on their website, on their Facebook page, they claim to have a lot of support, and there are a few men who support them, just as there are a few black people who support the KKK. Um, I'm not trying to be crude. I just think that honestly, any men who would support this, where's your self-respect? This is a business that's saying because you're a male, you have to pay more, and you think that's okay? It's absurd. Now, this is only one business, so we shouldn't make a mountain out of a molehill. But for a long time, feminists have believed that these sort of sexist double standards are fine, and they always use an existential issue, in this case, the gender pay gap, um, to justify their sexism. And that's what it is. Let's not gloss it over. No matter how polite they may seem, no matter how they present it, it's sexism, pure and simple. And it simply would not be accepted for any other group. So it should not be accepted for male patrons. What I think people should do, any men in the Melbourne area who don't like this, either join that boycott group or go to the restaurant, just don't order anything. Peaceful protest. Go there, don't order anything. Just say, oh, I changed my mind, I'm going to leave. Manspread. This is the sort of thing that will really work them up. And I think it's important. Peaceful protest. Um, because really, in 2017, this sort of nonsense should be unacceptable. The feminist movement constantly fosters it. And we have to be very careful with this issue around the gender pay gap. I'm not saying that the situation is absolutely perfect. There may be some things that need to be looked at. Incidentally, the situation at the BBC is actually less than the national average. It's 10% at the BBC. But the fundamental point is that men and women are paid the same amount for the same work for the same hourly rate. And I feel that constantly pushing this gender pay gap issue, it's it's misleading people. It's leading people to believe that men are paid more, which is just factually not true. In fact, there's some fields where women are arguably the advantage and are paid more. So I really think that we have to be very careful about the divisive message that this brings into wider society. Feminists don't care. They're institutionally anti-male, despite what they say. It's always the fault of the patriarchy. It's always the fault of men. They'll insist that they're not, but I'll be interested to see how many feminists actually condemn this. If they really are about equality, I'll be interested to see how many self-declared feminists say, "Wait a second, this is wrong. This is not the right way to go about it." So far, there's been silence. So from feminists, yeah, um, I just find it a bit galling that they think they could get away with it. I hope they reverse this policy, and if they're too arrogant to do that, I honestly hope their business fails. Not because I want to be vindictive, but because it would send out a message that this sort of discrimination shouldn't exist in the 21st century. And I would be saying exactly the same thing if a business was discriminating against women in that way. Um, but they wouldn't because it is illegal. Now, I don't know Australian law, but presumably there must be some legal area where they are breaking here by charging men more. There must be. So anyone who knows about Australian law, do push it because they shouldn't be able to get away with this. Um, I'll leave it there. Let me know your thoughts. Incidentally, I have a troll who sometimes comes onto these videos, a feminist troll calling themselves Lala Girl, or they've changed their name a few times. If you come onto this video, you're getting deleted immediately because I know what you're all about. This person just comes onto my videos. They're not interested in adult debate. They just want to insult me on a personal level. And yeah, so if they do happen to come on, I'm going to delete them immediately. Um, that's that. Thank you for watching. And again, the gender pay gap is not the same as wage equality. The vast majority of cases, men and women are paid exactly the same, and feminists are deliberately misleading people. They're giving the impression that if you're a woman, you're paid less than a man. It's simply not true, and this lie needs to be exposed.